Good evening. So it seems as though something has led you to the campsite of the Orator. Well, as you can see, I've stoked the fire, which means it's time for you to pull up your chair and settle in, because tonight I have a very special but very non-supernatural story to tell. So as you know, this weekend I was supposed to go up north with some cousins of mine, and we were going to sit around a campfire late at night and tell scary stories, and I was going to release a special. Instead, we got absolutely destroyed by a lightning storm. But before we begin, if you find yourself enjoying this kind of normal content, first-hand true accounts of the supernatural, paranormal things that go bump in the night, then allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I upload new content, which is normally all 7 days of the week, and I will be back to it tomorrow. I will have shorts every single day, and then I do long-form content Monday and Fridays, all at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Second, if you or anybody you know has a story and you think it would fit well on my channel, we're talking first-hand, true account of something supernatural or paranormal, just reach out to me on any of my social media and we will find a way to collect your story and then potentially one day feature it here on The Orator. And now with all of that out of the way, let's get on to tonight's special story. This is the night we went camping. So I departed Friday morning, very early, around 6 in the morning, and I am heading up north to my parents' house. They live like 2.5 hours away from where I currently live. They are sort of in the middle of Omer, Sterling, and Standish. If you ever watched the very first video on my channel, it is the Witchy Wolf story. It's a personal story that happened to me. That's where I was going, right to my parents' house. This is kind of where it happened. And so I am meeting my cousins there. They kind of all already live kind of up in that area. And so I drive up there, I park my car, they're going to pick me up from there. And so I make sure I have all of my supplies. Now, I do camp on occasion, but my parents and my eldest brother, John, they are super campers. They camp all summer long, and they live out kind of in the woods. And so they have all of the things you would ever need to camp. And so instead of having my own stuff, because I just don't camp that often, I typically borrow theirs, because almost any time I'm camping, I'm with them. And so part of the reason for me stopping at my parents' house was to pick up things like a tent, a sleeping bag, a cot. Those were the three things. So I get those, I make sure I have all of my supplies, and then I spend a little time hanging out with my mom, which was nice, and then my cousins show up. So the oldest is Doug, and his youngest brother is Ben, and then their middle brother is Pat. Now, Pat, he was kind of the one that put this together. He's definitely more outdoorsy than his brothers. And so he had planned this, and it was really exciting. It's something they've been trying to do for years and years and years, and finally had put it together. And so the three of them show up, they pick me up, we load everything in the truck, and then we head out. And we are going all the way from where we're at, like I said, Standish, Sterling, Omer, all the way northeast to Oscoda. We head up north where we pick up our last friend, John. Now, John, he's basically been a friend since forever. He was, right next door to Ben, and so we just grew up together, and he's been family. I mean, basically, these are my cousins and my friend, but it's almost like they're my brothers. Like, we hang out all the time, we talk all the time. So we pick him up at Oscoda, which is where he lives, and then we head west, and the area we're going, it's this tiny place outside of this very, very tiny place called Glenny, and we're in the Huron National Forest right next to the Ausable River. And so we head out there, and from Oscoda, it was probably another half hour, maybe 45 minutes to get to our destination. And literally the whole way there, you're just driving west on one paved road, and it is just trees everywhere. You might run into a small town, but when I'm saying we are in the middle of nowhere, I mean, I'm talking all around you for as far as you can see is just forest. And so we head out that way, and then you have to turn down this dirt road and go down there maybe a mile, 3/4 of a mile to a mile. And then we finally get out, park, and then we have to hike into our campground. So we park, we hike in, and the first thing we're going to do is obviously set everything up. And so we really probably spent maybe the next hour to 2, maybe even 3 hours. It's kind of hard to gauge time. Our phones did not have service out there, and so all of our devices were put away. But basically, we show up, we set up all of our tents in the area, and then we have to gather firewood. So me and Ben, we go out into the woods, and there's a lot of trees that are already down and things like that. We collect branches, and then bigger logs, and then even bigger logs. And then eventually we bring them back, and we have a hatchet so we can break things down. We have a hand saw so we can break things down, and we get a pretty sizable amount of wood. And while we were doing this, our other campers were making sure all of the food and everything was set up properly. The area that we were in, there's a lot of animals, you know, raccoons, foxes, coyotes, things like that. You could even potentially see bobcats, maybe even bear up there. Pretty far south for bear, but it's not impossible to see that stuff. And so this is like middle of the day at this point, right? I left at around 6, took me maybe 2.5 hours to get there, and then we left there, we grabbed some lunch, so we're probably talking like 2, 3, maybe 4 in the afternoon while we're setting all this up, cutting wood, all that, and it is just beating down, the sun is, it's very hot, there's no cloud cover at all, and so by the time we're finished setting everything up, we were just like a sweaty mess. So we decided to go take a dump in the Asable River. So we got dressed in all of our swimming gear that we had brought, thinking that we might do this, and we waded out. Now, I don't know exactly what the temperature in the river was because we didn't have like thermometers or anything like that, but suffice it to say that I live in northern Michigan, and it is currently May, and the Asable River is large, and it was very cold. But we waded all the way out in there. We actually swam. Everybody did it, which I was surprised. I thought somebody might chicken out, but nobody did. And we probably ended up swimming for maybe like a half hour in the river. And at some point, you know, we just got so numb and cold that it didn't hurt anymore, and it was fine. And so we swam in there for a little while. I wish I had pictures of this, but everybody was in the river. We didn't have our cameras or anything like that, but trust that it happened. And then at some point, we do feel like it's getting cold enough that we want to wade out. So we end up leaving the river. We go up, and we dry off. We get redressed, and then we decide to explore the forest. It's probably like 5 o'clock now, so there's still plenty of sun. And so we know that we cannot go south because the river is south, and we would have to swim across the river to do basically anything. We cannot go east because that's the road that brought us in, runs, you know, north and south to our east. And so we would just run to that road and then continue on that way. And north, we're going to hit the road that we turned in on. And so the only way to go is to kind of follow the river west. And that's sort of what we do. Now, we're in the middle of the woods. There's not really any trails or anything like that. We would find some game trails and things like that to take into the woods. But we really just explored while we were out here. And so while we're out there, we heard a rabbit getting killed by some kind of predator. That was kind of creepy. We found this really cool animal skull while we were out there. A couple other things, and then it was just really neat to explore the woods and just to be out in a place where very few humans have ever been. I mean, we're really in the woods at that point. And then we make our way back, and we have dinner. And it was awesome. We had some hot dogs, brats. A couple of people brought like those pre-made meals where you add hot water and seal the bag. And so we tried that, and that was really cool. And then the idea was after dinner, we're going to settle in, light this campfire, and everybody's going to sit around and tell their scary stories because everybody's got some. One of which I have not told on my channel and am going to very soon about my cousin Pat out in the woods. Really terrifying story. And so that was the plan. I'm like, man, we're going to have this special. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And when we plan our trip up there, you know, obviously, naturally, we check the weather and continue to check on it. And it said there might be light rain between 11:30 and 1 or something like that. And we're thinking we're going to be long done with everything. Light rain's not a big deal. And so that was it. We just didn't care. But around, I want to say like 9 o'clock at night, it is now at this point quite dark. There's no towns, cities, houses, nothing. There's no light pollution up there at all. And we start to see this lightning rolling in. And over the next maybe like hour or so, we're hoping that, you know, we're watching the clouds. They're moving from west to east. They're moving really fast, but we're north of the storm. So we're thinking hopefully it passes just south of us and we get exactly what we were expecting. But as it's getting darker, it's very clear that we're going to get hit by this storm. We could have looked up the weather at that point, but remember, we're in the middle of nowhere and none of our devices work. And so we can't check the weather. And so it starts to rain and we think we're just going to get into our tents and sort of wait it out. And then once the weather passes, we'll get out. And then, you know, maybe we'll tell the story tomorrow night, or maybe we'll just do it really late. But then the storm really hits. And this was not a rainstorm or anything like that. This was like a true storm. Lightning blasting overhead for hours, like right on our campsite. I'm in my tent laying on my cot and I'm thinking, hopefully lightning doesn't strike a tree and it falls on us and kills one of us or something crazy like that. Or like starts a forest fire or something. And so we're just laying there as the rain is thundering down around us and lightning and thunder are crashing. And you know, we're trying to assess, like, what do we do? Do we stay out in this? And long story short, that's exactly what we did. We stayed through the entire night. It was crazy. It never stopped raining that whole night. I was in my cot, so I was pretty comfortable. My biggest problem was I had left my parents and forgotten a sleeping bag. And so we had stopped at Walmart and we'd picked up a couple things and I just grabbed a cheap sleeping bag because it was not supposed to be cold that night. And then because of the storm, the temperature totally changed. It was freezing and I was frozen. It sucked. My cousin had the same thing. And so during the middle of the night, we were kind of up and talked to each other about how we were freezing. It was still raining and storming and terrifying. And then we wake up the next day only to discover that the storm has changed everything. And now the whole next day and evening, it's also going to be raining and storming. And we thought at that point, we're just not going to have any fun. We're going to camp out here and be cold and soaked and miserable and sitting in our tents. And so unfortunately, we just had to kind of pack everything up. And then we went in and had breakfast. And after that, we headed home. And so I apologize. I really wanted this special to be awesome. I am so excited for the time that we're going to do that. We are going to reschedule our camping trip for later on in the summer and make sure that this comes out at some point. So I do apologize. You know, while we were out there, we heard that there was Bigfoot sightings. Naturally, we're a little southeast, but it's kind of Dogman area too. And so we were kind of hoping maybe we would see something or hear something or catch something on camera. Unfortunately, we just weren't there that long. That didn't happen, and I didn't get a special. So, you know, I do apologize. I promise shorts are coming back. My video on Friday will be here for sure. And from now on, we're going to have regular content. So, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and thank God that we survived that lightning storm. And so that's going to do it for today's story. If you found yourself enjoying this story or any of my normal stories on the channel, first-hand true accounts of the supernatural, paranormal, things that go bump in the night, then allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I upload new content, which is every day of the week. I do shorts all 7 days, and then I do long-form content Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Second, if you're anybody you know has a story that you think would fit well on my channel, a true first-hand account of something supernatural and paranormal, then reach out to me on any of my social media and we'll collect your story and potentially one day feature it here on The Orator. And so until next time, where you'll see that the fire is stoked, you may pull up your chair and settle in, and I will have another tale to tell.